Grant is the financial advisor for David and myself and all of our companies and all of the ventures that we undertake. And Phil is a partner at the mid-size boutique advisory firm, full-service advisory firm in Melbourne, Nexia ASR. And Phil joins me today. How are you, Phil?
I'm really good, thank you. Excellent, thank you very much.
Phil, we sort of had a bit of an off-camera chat after our last session, talking about customer service and how the world seems to have degraded back to really low level of customer service again. And you were saying to me that some of the businesses you're dealing with, and because you deal with some quite large businesses, you're able to notice trends, are moving away from service and now talking about the customer experience. Maybe you could shed some light on that.
Sure, happy to. To me, the customer experience is all about relationships, particularly what I do in the professional services sector, but I think it applies universally when you're dealing with customers, and most of your customers are people, and people, I think, crave the relationship. And so I think if you give people a good relationship and a good foundation to a relationship, I think their experience is enhanced. But as in any relationship, you have to make sure you sort of know what the other person's wanting from that relationship, and I think you need to provide that to them. And I think if you can provide that to them effectively, I think you'll enhance the experience, and ultimately your business will flourish as a result of it.
How do you figure out what they want? What tools do you use to, get inside the head of the customer? I
think it's pretty simple. I think you just ask them. I don't think it's that difficult. I mean, you really need to sit down with your customers and ask them what they want. And many, particularly in my space, don't always know what they want. But you have to, just through conversation and through prodding and probing and uncovering information, perhaps from their financial statements or from just a discussion about how they run their business, you'll work out what their needs are and what they're looking for, and hopefully you can tailor your solution to meet what they're looking for and what they need.
If we took that out into our everyday life, and we came from the model of customer experience and not customer service, it would really change the way we looked at a whole lot of interactions we have out there where we're handing over money and sometimes not being treated very well. I'm just wondering, is there a recent customer experience you've had that just brings home to you the value of actually getting the experience right?
I can think of one actually. I've got a client who's in Adelaide, and interesting, I met this client over 20 years ago, and they ran an Adelaide-based business, and I was obviously in Melbourne, and I was a very junior accountant, and I was allocated their file, and I worked on them and really just communicated with them. I never met them face to face, but just simply communicated with them on the phone and just built up a rapport, built up a good, strong relationship. And something happened, and I left that particular firm and they went somewhere else, and they then followed me up after I joined. It was actually Nexia ASR, as it was previously known as Alexander and Spencer, and they followed me up, and they came across and joined me because the relationship was good. And the client said, look, I think I better get in the plane and actually meet you. So that's exactly what she did. She came on the plane and met me, and the fact that we weren't actually in the same state was irrelevant. We had a good relationship, and subsequent to that, she's still a client, and her and her husband's still a client, and I went to her daughter's wedding, and there's a whole lot of things that flowed out of that. And I still work on her affairs, and they're not a massive client to me, but it's a nice relationship. She clearly enjoys the experience, and she just sent me an email back just recently, just commending us on how high quality the service that she got this year, and we did some nice things for her, in terms of their financial affairs, which was great. And you could just see that they were glowing and they were loving it, and you send that around the organisation to the people who worked in it, and that just makes them glow and feel a bit better also. So it all just spirals. So that's just one immediate example that I can think of. And I think you don't always get people telling you, oh, this is great and you're fantastic. I think you got to sense that also. And I think as in any relationship, it's just the way that you interact with the people, and you can tell when you've got a good relationship and when things are perhaps on shaky ground and the relationship's strained. So I think there's a bit of intuition involved in that also.
Do you think that business relationships are now becoming more egalitarian and democratic, or the ones at work are? Because certainly often there is a power differential. I pay the bill, therefore I have an expectation you behave in a certain way. I've never thought that that sort of relationship will yield the best value from the person giving me their knowledge. So I'm really interested to find out from you, if both parties feel they're equal in contributing and creating a solution, does that get a better solution?
I think, and again, it's with any relationship, there's got to be mutual respect there. And if there's respect between, the two parties, and they enjoy each other's company and they can relate to each other, the bill's an issue. I mean, and the value and the fact that the customer is always right type of philosophy. I think there's some merit to that, and I think as the seller in the transaction, I think you've got to be respectful of that, because ultimately you are delivering something to them, and I think there has to be some understanding of what they're looking for, and you need to deliver that. And if the person on the other side of the coin is not feeling that, they're going to say, well, at the end of the day, I am paying you, and if you're not delivering and I'm not enjoying this relationship, I think we'll terminate the arrangement. So I don't think it's the way you described it. I think that is very old school. I pay the bill, so therefore, I think it's got to start from a mutual level of respect, and you enjoy working with each other, and that both parties enjoy spending time together. And I think then there will be value that flows out of that. The value isn't defined by what's necessarily written on the invoice.
I must say there are a number of small content businesses now starting to make really good revenue, and the founders are quite scared of the professional services. In fact, it's the other way round. They wonder, whether the service will take them on, and yet they're in desperate need of suddenly, with this revenue, needing to organise their affairs. What would you say to someone in that position in terms of trying to get the right advisor who actually is going to create that relationship with them, the right customer experience for them?
Yeah, I think it is difficult. It is difficult because on the one hand, when you're a professional advisor, at the end of the day, you're running a business also, and so if you had a whole heap of your customers or clients who were, looking for a discounted service, it's not a viable business model. But on the other hand, you've got to try and identify it as an advisor who is an emerging business, and the opportunities will flow down the track, and hopefully then there'll be some opportunity for you to recoup some of that cost up front. But I think at the end of the day, if the small business person comes in and they're just looking for cheap service and a cheap dollar value service but high value service, I don't think it's going to work. I really think it's going to work. I think the person has to walk in the door accepting that they're looking for high quality service, but they really don't have the dollars to pay for it. But they're looking for a long-term relationship, and they want to build up a relationship, which is a respectful relationship, and based on that, can you assist and provide some support? I think that's a better foundation than just saying, I'm shopping around for the cheapest advice, which I think is problematic.